and you'll hear this sentiment quite a bit from everyone. How voice acting is about the little V and big A, right? Um, so many folks who get into the whole voiceover genre arrive here in some way. And because this is labeled as voice acting, and everybody goes, wait, I have a voice. I know how to read. I can do voiceover. So people get into it and start to investigate and start to do their research and lean into this line of work. And what everyone who soon understands, maybe not for some, but certainly there comes a point where everybody understands, either through a coach or peer or by themselves, is that without the acting, the voice is useless. What animation, video game, audio drama production is gonna hire a voice actor if they can't act? Right? It doesn't matter how handsome or pretty or fine or beautiful or sexy someone is. If they can't act, there's no reason to hire them, right? Unless they're hired to be a set piece, I guess. Um, the similar concept applies to characterized voice acting. And you could even argue, and it's true, at least in my perception, that narration and commercial, even IVR, thanks for calling company ABC, press one for this and press two for that, it still falls under the umbrella of acting. I would argue. um, Certainly not as perhaps nuanced and in depth and complicated as the moment as your despised father passes away in a hospital bed while holding your hand and begs for forgiveness in his last moments, as compared to, hi, thanks for calling a company ABC, I suppose. But still, there's a layer of characterization, no matter how deep or thin that layer may be. I'm a firm believer that the acting comes before the voice, precisely because everybody has indeed a voice in some capacity. And if that voice is not supported by the characterization or the training, the thing that you've been honing to become an actor, so that we can portray characters convincingly, believably, authentically, so on and so forth, I believe acting is absolutely a necessity. And the films that you've seen of actors of acclaim and celebration and of renown are absolutely fantastic material to study, to incorporate and to steal to a degree into your own acting. Absolutely. Um,
Nice.
and it's recommended because it's truly about the areas of voice acting where that overlaps. I would argue that I would say and boldly state that video game voice acting is quite similar to the movies and cinematic acting, grounded, real, human, and earnest to a degree. Um, I don't know if you've played The Last of Us 2 or God of War. These are movies. These are movies that you play. Certainly not in the same bucket as SpongeBob. Maybe, sure, maybe not a slice of life anime. Certainly, but cinematic films and cinematic video games are in the same bucket. So you could argue that there is a similarity and a style that you can incorporate into your voice acting that you learn from films.
Nice. Well, going off that same topic in that case, what would you recommend as far as media that you study? Would you recommend film over, say, like recorded stage, or would you recommend stage more so than film for specifically for voice acting, since of course they do have to project a lot more in stage acting?
I would study all of it. Some of it some of it with the purposes of stylization, like grounded, subtle, nuanced film acting, as well as the overstated and the extra projection that's required in a physical space like a theater, right? With the nuances in between and the stylistic choices that actors have to make according to the medium in which they work. But fundamentally, principally, underneath it all, at the core of it all, it's characterization, it's acting. And at the layer of a genre specific, style specific performance capacities, I would study those nuances as a method and a vehicle, sure. But underneath it all, I would look closer to the choices that they're making, the actors are making in the scene. Their choices in portrayal of this one character in this one scene, this emotional response, the way the certain pauses work in this one line delivery. Um, Whether that was the volition of the actor who's actively choosing to make those choices to deliver those lines in that way, or directed in some way to into that thing, those are questions that you can ask universally across all mediums, right? The acting choices and the characterization of that actor. Um, I would start there. I would certainly start at the core of the observing this actor, observing these choices that this actor is making in this movie, in this anime, in this cartoon, and then maybe simultaneously analyze and observe with the added nuance of the performance style that's congruent to that medium. Does that make sense? Yes, man. Hello. Love analyzing voiceover choices. Sometimes I wonder where my authority to analyze the choices runs out, though. I mean, I would say, like, if how dare you? No, no, right? There is no how dare you. You are indeed hi. You are indeed an authority because you're a human being. Characterization is pretending to be human or pretending to be an entity. Sometimes a snail, sometimes a bear, sometimes an alien. Sure, but at the end of it all, we're very much inside our humanities, right? We don't characterize and portray bears who don't speak English, if you will. We portray alien who speak a certain language, snails that can say words in English, whatever. So there's always going to be a layer of humanity underneath because it's characterized by human beings. And because you are a human being, you do have the authority to analyze and to assess the actor's choices. Is that what I would have done? Is this how I would do it? If I were in that actor's shoes, in that movie, with that set, with that costume, with that music, maybe not the music because that's more post production, I guess, but if I were in that story, how would I act? How would I behave? How would I respond to that one stimuli in this part of the story? It's you're very much in authority to say that about your own acting. I would say, like you can't decide to become an actor hour ago and then cast judgment upon all the actors that are in that movie. I guess you could, but that wouldn't be as authoritative. But about your own acting, right? About your own acting, about your own choices in these stories, in these moments, in this script, in this audition. You are indeed an authority because you are the person that knows the best about you, the actor. I don't know you as well as you do. So I'm not an authority in your acting choices. You know? How would someone tell if they are ready to make a demo? Are there specific metrics or feelings that would point someone towards being demo ready? There are endless range of answers when it comes to this question. I'm aware of this. And the most popular one being you'll know when you're ready. Ugh. To some degree, to some in their defense, in the defense of my colleagues, to some degree that is true. It is true. And the more important question is how do you know when you know? How do you know that you're ready? You know what I mean? You'll know when you're ready. Well, how do you know? You know what I mean? And that part of the answer is what I think needs more clarification, and this is how I deliver it. Um, and it's something I want you to try in the near future. Sign up for a group workshop in characterization. A group of 12 actors, whatever they are. In group sessions, you show up, and then they give you a script, and then you perform, and you get a couple of directions here and there, right? By some director, by some casting person, by whoever, right? It's a workshop, it's a workout, whatever it's called. Um, you show up, and they give you a script, and you read, right? And then they direct you and adjust you. How do you know when you're ready? When you start showing up to those group workshops where you have this momentary interaction of, I don't know, 6-10 minutes with the director who's there, right? And from the moment that you get up to go and you do your read, you do your performance, and it feels good, and the director on the other side goes, "Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Da, 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 da. Let's try it this way." Or or give me this instead. Or let's change this, rethink it like this, and give it to me this way. And then you do your take two. After taking in the directions, you do your take two, and it feels good to you. Like, yeah, that feels different. It feels good. I feel like I know what I'm doing. And the feedback from the other side is the same. Yeah, that was nice. Good. You hear words like good adjustments, and you see people in the chat going, "Wow, da 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 da," And then the director says, "Okay, let's do it this way." Or how about you give me some of this and then make these adjustments? So you go, "Okay, da, 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 da." You make the adjustments, and you do your take number three that you feel is the right adjustment, right, according to those takes. And the director on the other end goes, "Yeah, okay, that's really good." Da, 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 da. It's one of the clues that tell you that you're ready, that you're able to characterize or portray a character, be as authentic as you can, and able to take direction well, right? These tangible, measurable, evidence-based things that you can hear and see for yourself is one way to know that you may be ready for a demo. Like, how do you know? You'll know when you're ready. This is how you know. One way to know. If you work with a coach on a consistent basis, maybe you go to this person to schedule a private session once a month or whatever it is. Ask if you have a relationship with a coach, uh, uh, and you've done multiple sessions because they know you and you know them, and X, Y, and Z. Ask, am I ready? That person is obligated to tell you yes or no, I think. If you're paying a coach to give you their professional opinion, they're obligated to tell you yes you are, no you're not. And if no, then these are the things you need to work on. And from my perspective and the people that I work with in this way, this is the following like category and specificities to me saying yes you are ready, whatever that may mean. um Say you show up to a session with me for an hour, right? And I'll give you a script. And on the fourth take, because I think it takes three read throughs and takes to kind of get familiar, to chew the words, right? Unless you're an amazing cold reader, which you should be, but I give you the benefit of the doubt. On the fourth read, if that performance feels authentic to me, feels like you're coming from a genuine, honest, authentic place, even though the story is fictitious, because I know you, right? It's not like day one, but because I know you, because we worked together a number of occasions in a coaching capacity. If you can give me a genuine, honest, and phenomenally like wow read, because I know you on the fourth take, and then I throw you another script, and you do the same thing on the fourth, fifth take, you knock it out of the park, and you do that 3 times with 3 different scripts, you're definitely ready for a demo. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. It means you're able to analyze a script, insert yourself into it, Swiss cheese, and craft this hybrid cheese that's delicious and intriguing and engaging and unique and hopefully never been heard before by anyone. Um, and capacity of other, a myriad of other things as well, of course. But for anyone who asks me that question, and we've worked together in a number of capacities, that I know you and your abilities very well, and I've seen your progress, whatever it is, then I know. Then I can confidently say, yes, you're ready for a demo. Um, Maybe you're not that person, right? You don't have a working relationship with a singular coach or number of coaches or people or whatever. Then you show up to workshops, public workshops, and do it. And if it feels like you know what you're doing, and the external assessment, not the people in the chat per se, but the coach that you're working with is in agreement with what you're feeling, and it happens over and over and over. I wouldn't rely on one person. But if it's consistent that you feel like you know what you're doing, because you are, and the coach on the other end is giving you the same feedback, yeah, that sounds good, that felt good, that was nice, da 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 da, then then you're probably ready for a demo. Does that help? Does that answer it? Hopefully so. Let me know if it needs further clarification, Jesse. Of course. Good to see you. Double dipping, looking at people's VO websites and checking out their specs for mics and recording materials. Reasonable find a VA with a cadence tone pitch that's similar to how I might express myself and purchase the materials they have. Is that weird? No, no, I don't think so. But then, like, uh, uh listening to a voice actor's demo who shares with you a similar cadence tone pitch is still subjective, I think. you know Subjective to a degree. What does it mean, a deep voice? It means different things for different people, right? um while it is true that some microphones are better suited for higher frequencies and lower frequencies and X, Y, and Z things, um, and while it is true that some microphones are better matches for whatever people, it's not as important as people are making it out to be. It's I'm not an audio engineer. Let me just put that out first and foremost. I'm not an audio engineer. Um, and I don't have authority on the sonic profiles and matching of those frequencies. I know enough to talk about it, I think, but I wouldn't make microphone recommendations based on their sonic profile. I'm not at that level. At the same time, microphone choice, I think, comes down to purpose. Purpose. The reason why I have a U87 is because it is the microphone that's used in the studios that I work with. Like, so that I'm giving one less variances in the sonic profile of a microphone for the engineers who work in that studio. Um, and even then, they still have to. If I'm recording from here, they still have to take into consideration that this space is different than the studio space that they work in or have their talent in normally. So they're already facing this one challenge slash hurdle of having a different acoustic space that the talent is recording in, instead of recording everybody in the same room, right? Um, and if I throw into that mix another microphone that produces different sounds, then it's more work for the engineer to balance it, to EQ it out, so that these 10 different voice actors in 10 different home studios with 10 different microphones hopefully sound like it's been recorded in the same location with the same microphone, which is a lot of work. So to mitigate some of that, and to like make their jobs a little bit easier, I have a U87. Before the U87, I had the TLM 103, another famously favored microphone by various studios. I also have a 416 in there, well preferred microphones for narration and commercial that you see in LA studios. That's the reason why. Does it complement my deep voice? I have no idea. Probably. I've heard it for myself, so I know it works well and I sound good on it, sure. But this Stellar X2 Vintage, arguably, you would say it's not a fit for my deeper voice, but I don't care. you know, I mean, for this purpose, for the purposes of this microphone, it's for streaming and Zoom meetings and calls like these, sure. And when I'm in there, I sound a little bit different microphones, sure. But for the purposes of your work, I think the only reason to purchase a specific microphone would be for the purposes of matching the other actors' audio, sonic profiles of the other actors' audio files. Um, and that's of course above and beyond the basic baseline of quality. Um, arguably, a Blue Yeti USB microphone is going to sound different than the U87 that's in there. Um, of course, the recording environment is more important. I gotta say that, of course, in the interface. Da, 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 da. But like, I would say, have a reason to buy the microphone, right? And if it feels like it sounds good, right? The Guitar Center in New York has that array of microphones so you can hear yourself, right? Um, Everybody's gonna sound different on different microphones. We're human beings with certain sonic signatures, and these microphones are built in a certain way. So there's gonna be a match for your voice, for your sonic profile to be featured in a certain way with this one microphone. Sure. If you have the time and the availability and the budget to test it out, sure, absolutely. But everybody sounds good on a TLM 103. Everybody sounds good on a 416. Everybody sounds good on U87. Everybody sounds good on a Lewitt 447, whatever it's called. Everybody sounds good on the next two. Everybody sounds good on NT1. Minute, slight, tiny little adjustments and differences that a well-trained audio engineer will hear, sure. But that's what the EQ is for. That's what the post-production is for, you know? From your end, as long as the equipment is a well produced, well crafted piece of machinery and equipment that carries a certain level of reputation in quality, then you should be fine. Me ranting about equipment, I apologize, but that's how I feel. Hadn't thought of it yet myself. Doesn't seem weird at all. There's no sense to consider that. Okay, I hope that helps. That's good. The hardest completed project I worked on. This spreadsheet is giving me, it's blinding me. Here we go. Um, the hardest completed project I worked on. What made it difficult, and how did you overcome it? In different contexts, I think I have a couple of different stories. I started voice acting. I started my journey as a voice actor, if you will, starting my business and running the whole thing in 2016. And in the beginning, you gotta do something to get traction, right? X, Y, and Z things. So, and bills had to get paid, X, Y, and Z. So, I remember coming across this one client who needed a Korean version of these explainer narrations in these videos that was clearly this fake and pretentious MLM scheme of a business opportunity thing. Gosh, some European. It sounded Ukraine. It sounded like Ukraine, Russian in that region of the country of the world. And this guy, it was one of those like, sign up for my program, and learn how to run your business. And don't you want to be like me? Like, here's my office. Here's my sexy secretary who serves me my coffee. Here I am at the airfield, stepping into my private jet. But the private jet that he was stepping into had this plainly obvious low budget decal over the company logo of this private airplane that's supposedly his company. Like walking into this office, hanging there was this picture of the logo of his company that was clearly a picture in a frame that was hanging on the wall. Like this cringy, terribly produced MLM schemes for this thing. Bills have to get paid. You know what I mean? So it was this terribly troubling thing that I had to overcome and make it at least halfway sound believable of what I was talking about. This whole time I'm shaking my head like, what am I doing right now? But bills had to get paid, and that's fine. And the way I justified it to myself, the way I overcame it, even though I'm narrating these videos about dubbing this guy and doing the narration in Korean. Anyone who falls for this, it's their fault. It's so plainly obvious, painfully obvious that this is a scam. Anybody who falls for it, it's their fault. I don't know. I don't know if anybody sold, got guys bought into it or whatever. I don't know. I hope not. Obviously, I hope not. But gosh dang it, it was so blatantly obvious. Uh, that's how I got over it. I hope that answers your question. Okay, good. Thank you. The morality is a thing. I certainly other types of difficulties too. I was part of the Walla team for Kingdom season 3, the anime that came out, and because it's this military Chinese history thing, there was a lot of yelling and soldiers going raw and things of that nature. And every 2 hour session was this grueling screams of soldiers cheering and dying and getting throats slit and stuff like that. Lots of hydration, obviously, in preparation for the thing. A lot of this stuff, right? There we go. A lot of this stuff, obviously, to prep and for difficult sessions. I suck on these, the throat coat lozenges, the teas, everything else. Um, like physically difficult, but with preparation and with proper technique, I think Michael Schwalbe will be the perfect person for the extreme vocals, for extreme voices, that class. There are classes out there that'll teach you these things and techniques so that to save your voice. Um, yeah, education, preparation, and execution of various techniques that I've learned over the years, I would say. What are some reoccurring workshops that I would recommend? uh, reoccurring workshops by trusted entities and organizations that hold them. A number that I would say closing credits, obviously, right? Um, in addition to closing credits, I would also recommend realvoicela.com, Real Voice LA, Sound On Studios, Kirsten Day, fantastic stuff. Studio NPC by Yoon. StudioNPC.com. Adventures in Voice Acting, another huge one there. A Studios. The things that you know, the studios that you know, right? These people that you know on Twitter. This is not being recorded. It is being recorded, but we're gonna pretend it's fine. Um, shamelessly. Here we go. Yeah. Anytime I think a studio, an organization, a person with reputation in education does a workshop, they're gonna continue to do it and do it well and present good information, honest assessments, and fun ways to motivate you as an actor. I think. We recently just yesterday, there was a workout actually with Kaden Jensen, uh, Ruby May Marigold, formerly of Rooster Teeth, now of Square Enix in America, here in LA, casting director, voice actor, trans woman, fighting for equality and representation, uh, decades of time in the industry. We had this lovely workout with her last night. 10 actors, 4 observers, and in at Studio NPC myself try to run one at least one per month with industry professionals in characterization, commercial, other genres as well. Um, the next one's coming up is going to be Edward Hong for character work. Dustin Rubin for commercial work. That's also coming up. We have Ann Yatko scheduled for November for character work. Corey Yi will be joining us hopefully. The schedules are of course all TBD. They're busy people, but like in similar capacities, Real Voice LA, A Studios, Adventures in Voice Acting, Sound On Studios, all doing the same thing. Um, yeah, look those people up and look those organizations up. I would say. How to take care for an instrument when it's literally inside of you? Water, lots and lots of water, lots and lots of sleep, um, and knowing, I suppose, when to launch out the thing that might hurt. Um, I used to go to Adventures in Voice before the pandemic. Adventures in Voice Acting was an in-person workshop. So we would show up at Bang Zoom, and people would sit in the chairs, and one at a time we go into the studio, the sound studios, and do the thing. And number of those people would go all out, 175%, raw these things. Like good for them, and in working out their muscles and playing their instruments that way. But like I have a session the next day and I'm not gonna go all out. You know what I mean? Like to save my voice. So knowing when to deploy, whenever whatever the way that you play, I suppose. But I'm so entrenched in daily practice of protecting and fostering and taking care of the health of my voice, and that comes in the form of hydration. Like we should all be drinking right now, right? A reminder: hydration and well procured and well articulated sleep schedules and rest patterns and techniques to not overdo things and business decisions to not overdo things, certainly, and in combinations of these decisions that we make as actors is the best way to take care of the instrument, I think. When it comes to marketing, what are some do's and don'ts? Be consistent, right? Be consistent, but don't be a pest. You know what I mean? Be consistent, but don't be a pest. Um, golly. I remember seeing a tweet from Samantha Morrison, a casting director over at Mark Rao Studios, um, about this one person who would consistently email Samantha with the latest updates, the news, whatever it might have been, every single week without fail. Consistent, yes, but a pest. I wouldn't do it. You know, um, some do's. Let's talk about some do's. Um, Market in every way possible that appeals to you. Um, some people are naturally cold callers. They'll get on the phone and dial those 10 digits and talk to people willingly. I don't understand them myself, but good for them, you know. um, certainly, Bill Johnson over at this one studio, who happens to be in his 60s, who remembers the good times of when people used to talk to each other. These types of philosophies, um, cold calls probably the best for those folks who are still in decision making capacities and authorities in that organization. Um, if I'm talking to Bill Johnson about this one narration e-learning project that they're in charge of, and I know them to be one of those people who value human communications via voice over phone, like it used to be, that kind of a position, then I would call. Hey, can I talk to Bill? I'm a voice talent, da 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 da, or whatever I might say in to the secretary or the phone receptionist at the time. So being like tactful, strategic, based on your client that you're targeting, the person that you have in mind. That's certainly a do, I would say. Um, but even then, a blanket, I suppose, to another do would be to market with purpose. Um, blanketing in your entire social media with your demos and the work you've done each and every time is taxing. Is being a pest as well. Here's my demo. Here's my demo. Here's my demo. And every one post after another is a talent saying, "Look at me, look at me, look at me." Gets tiring, certainly. Um, and if each and every cold email that comes that way from this one talent is always, "Hey, here's my demo. Hey, here's my demo. Here's look at what I've done," is gonna get tiring and taxing. I understand that everybody has to market, right? We're running our businesses, and businesses have to advertise themselves. Right? We understand that, um, but I think there is. I think there needs to be a layer of humanity underneath it all, and a way to make it consistent yet not be a pest. And one way I think is to focus more on building a relationship. We're not B2C businesses, right? We're not. Every single one of us are B2B businesses, business to businesses. We don't actively market to the end customer, the end client. The audience has no idea what to do with us, voice actors. You know what I mean? The people who hire us and pay us the money are other businesses, not clients, not the audiences. So because we're B2B businesses, all of us, um, I think building and fostering a working relationship based on humanity, based on the interest and common grounds between two people, yourself and the casting director, whoever it is more important, in my opinion. So I would say I would focus on the relationship between you and the studio and this casting director and this audio engineer and the receptionist, everybody. And should there be a hook, a jab jab hook, if you know, right? Should there be a hook? There should, of course. And those hooks you save for the right occasions. Um, Here's a massive upgrade to my home studio. So the files that you'll get from me from here on are going to be quantum physically better, of higher quality. I put my money down on a U87. That's how much I believe in my own capacity and my business. I wanted to let you know. Um, I had a new demo made. Here it is. Check it out. Those are hooks, I would say, and all the jabs that exist in between, consistently but without being a pest, should be focused on the relationship, not without being fake. Hey, how's your dog? What the No, you know what I mean? Without being fake about it, but to connect between two human beings, whoever they may be, and to foster a working relationship. You can do that over emails, or you can do it over social media. Why do people post and hang out on social media? They want to connect with people. So connect, market, be a good human being. Let them know that you're a good human being who creates content, who is ahead of the curve as best you can in content creation, in presence online, and engage and interact and be engaging as well in whatever capacity, so that you start to build a relationship, and the other B in this B2B business starts to form an opinion about you, because they keep coming, because you keep coming across their timelines. So that when you're ready to throw your hook, here's my demo, here's my upgrade in the studio, here's my new website, whatever it is, I signed with an agency, whatever it is, that hook has a bigger impact, because that email that come your way is going to show your name, and they're going to know who you are, right? Jab, 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 hook. and relationships and tangible information about your business and these things, the purpose to contact, if you will. That makes sense? Cool. Yeah, there's definitely a fine line between persistence and pest. Definitely. If you haven't yet heard, I need please go to this website for me, Vopreneur, voiceover entrepreneur, vopreneur.com. It's run by this guy named Mark Scott, Marc, Mark Scott, and his entire podcast is about the business side of voiceover entrepreneur, Vopreneur. Um, and it's entirely free, of course. Uh, and that's his content. He doesn't do a drop of character acting anywhere. He's a narrator. He's a commercial talent. He's a e-learning and explainer video content talent, and he coaches people on marketing, video, the business side of voiceover. That's one of his flagship businesses that he runs as an educator. But he works every day as a talent in narrative capacities, and he teaches how people about LinkedIn, how to find work online, thoughts on P2Ps, websites, agents, cold emails, so on and so forth. I think that entire suite, it's got 150 plus episodes of Viopreneur. I suggest everybody here go through every single one. Every single one. Like if you're walking your dog, going for a drive, or doing your dishes, right, folding your laundry, do it with the podcast in your ears. It's what I do. I walk my dog every morning, right? I'm driving my kids to school. I'm driving to places. I'm listening to podcasts. His, Crispin Freeman, of course, via the voice acting mastery, filled with information. What do you mean? What do you mean you're driving with music? No, no, no. Podcasts. Grow your business. Absolutely.
Do you like union better than non-union?
I like both. And because I like both, I'm FICOR. But my case and my journey, my story, my business is eclectically different than other people's. So should yours be. And everybody's different. There is value in that. Absolutely. But my business is significantly different than yours. I promise. And here's why. In the entirety of my voiceover pie, right? 100% of my voiceover business pie, I would dare to say about 65% of the entire voiceover pie is done in Korean. Characters, narration, commercial, e-learning, explainer in Korean. And because the majority of my work, 65% roughly, is in the language of Korean, it doesn't exactly fall in line with the talent that SAG has in mind.
Mm.
Which means my clients who are all over the world, who come back to me time and time again for Korean narrations, none of those are union work. None of it. And had I signed up and with SAG and remained a union talent and abided by a global rule number one, that means I would have to let go of 65% of my business, which I would have to be crazy to do.
Oof.
Arguably, though, the remaining 35% of my VO that's done in English, the majority of it is union work in dubbing, in games, or whatever. Majority
Mm.
of it. I haven't come down to a percentage of what that remaining 35% and the percentages that are in between quite yet. I'm still relatively new, you know. But because the majority of my business, which is what I've built for myself, thanks to resources like Viopreneur and other things, before I became a union talent, I had built up my business. I was a full-time voice actor before I joined the union, and I am not about to let go of all of my clients for the sake of the union. No way. And because my clients the work that they offer me from around the world is non-union by nature. I can't let go of that. Only logical choice in order to stay afloat and pay the bills is to go FICOR. Um, and if some actor has a problem with me being FICOR, that's fine. They can think what they want, but I know what's best for my business. You know, and it's certainly not a decision to be made lightly. Absolutely not. The decision to stay, to remain SAG, or to go FICOR must be made very carefully. Absolutely, with industry advice and analysis of your business and what your future terms look like. There's so many things to consider. I know for my own business and for my business plan for decades to come, it's gotta be FICOR. It's gotta be FICOR for me. Um, your answer may be different. Unofficially agreed upon non-union anime ADR, or any ADR rate used to be it still is kind of, but used to be $75 per hour with a 2-hour minimum. It was this unspoken, unwritten down, unregulated rate that most studios agreed to. So for a non-union anime production, it doesn't matter what it was or who it was for. It was $75 an hour with 2-hour minimum. Unless each and every individual actor negotiated, which they could. But would the studios hire them? I don't know. I'm not them, so I don't know. You
Mm.
know? Uh, and it is ludicrous to think that a movie, anime movie, that hit number 2 spot in the box offices, that made millions of dollars, that paid $300 for a voice actor. It's ludicrous to me. And for in my opinion, from the things that I know and people that I know, right? In my opinion, it still comes from the idea that anime, specifically anime and live dubs to an extent as well, is this small corner niche that production companies and people still think it is. I disagree. It's 2022. Anime is definitely mainstream. As much mainstream as Simpsons is. Um, as much mainstream as Nickelodeon is. Um, same thing with live action dubs, right? America didn't used to be North American market didn't used to be the hotbed ground for English dubbed foreign content. You know what I mean? Nobody watched foreign content. America was America until phenomenons like Old Boy, Korean ones specifically, because this is what I know. Old thing movies like Old Boy, Train to Busan, Squid Game, right? And oh my gosh, why am I blanking on that title? The movie. He won the Oscar for it. Oh gosh. At the acceptance speech, he said, "If you can get over the hurdle of a 1-inch bar at the bottom, right, of the subtitles, you'll open yourself to a lot more possibilities." And it's true. The market is indeed changing, and English dubs are becoming a lot more mainstream than what it used to be. Just as anime used to be this tiny little corner of the B2B. Parasite, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
And because the industry is changing and evolving in this way, same thing. I mean, we don't listen to radio dramas anymore, right? We don't tune into Saturday morning cartoons anymore. It's streaming now. We don't see sitcoms anymore. Whatever. Industry is changing and evolving as it should, and everything needs to pivot along with it. Otherwise, we'll get left behind, right? And anime is now firmly a mainstream media genre where the nerd culture and the geek culture, the people who play D&D actively and stated as so used to get flushed in toilets in various high schools a few decades ago. You nerd. You know, the swishes or whatever it was called, swirlies. Thank you very much, right? But today, D&D is very much celebrated, is it not? Right? Critical Role, but put that square center in the middle. And the nerd culture, anime culture. We look at cosplays as something that's awesome, and not like look at that geek. Things are changing. Anime is definitely center stage and mainstream, and I believe, as many others do, the workers, translators, adapters, audio engineers, and directors and actors alike should be treated as such. It's high time. It's about time that the industry catches up with the changing landscape. Um, Gosh, I can talk about this all day. The union provides protection for those things. Is my point. Non-union, you can show up and you'll be cut for no reason, right? There's no minimum rates guaranteed. Usage can be whatever. They don't have to pay you if they decide not to. Imagine working for Trump. My gosh, it's whatever. It's equivalent to non-union work, I would say, in the most extreme sense, I guess. There's no protection of offer to the workers. That's why we have unions, right?
Mm.
That's why unions form in the first place. But along with that, there's added benefits like health insurance, pension, all the things that a worker needs, that the workers deserve to be protected from, and all these things. That's why unions exist, right? The auto workers, the teachers, the firefighters, whatever. Same thing for actors. So I'm definitely for union. And should my business model look like 100% of my work is in America, in the North American market, then I would be a union talent as well. I would, but 65% of my business is international. So I have to be FICOR.
Mm.
If you get cast into a union production, then you're SAG eligible. And you can join on the same day. Most people prefer not to and wait as long as possible. And by the third production, you become a must join. Otherwise, you can't work on union productions unless you're in right to work state, which throws another wrench into the complications. Then you can be indefinitely SAG eligible, which means you'll be able to work non-union and SAG work simultaneously. Just the only hurdle, if you will, is that the union production company will have to Taft-Hartley you for each and every time. But the Taft-Hartley process is literally a one-page paperwork, one page, but it's one more page that they have to do. So depending on how desperately you are desired for this production, and how much bothered this producer is gonna be, all hang on that one page Taft-Hartley paperwork. But in Texas, in Florida, other right to work states, you can be eternally SAG eligible, or you choose become SAG and declare FICOR. It's a philosophical choice as well. If I had, because I am who I am and believe in what I believe, if the majority of the business that I've built was in North American market and not international with Korean language, and that was the situation that I was in, then I may have to think more critically. Um, but I would in that given circumstance, I would still go FICOR so that I can legitimately, principally, do non-union and union because my business dictates as such. Now, there are a number of union talent who are not FICOR who do work non-union things. It's called working under the card. Um, and should the union find out, you can get into a lot of trouble, certainly. Um, and it's definitely like a no-no for on-camera talent, on-stage talent, screen actor guild, right? But for voiceover, that's it's another depends type of a area for voiceover union talent. Um, Number of union talents are working off the card in huge IPs that we all know as well, uh, like Mob Psycho 100, if you will. That whole thing recently blew up because of this whole thing, right? So you have to look at it from as many angles as possible and decide for your own business how it's gonna look like. For me, um, I wanted to walk the path that the way that I wanted to walk it, and I declared myself FICOR from the get go, um, and here I am. I have no reservations about my choices, and should the North American voiceover business for me start to take over the global aspect, and I start working less and less and less in Korean and more and more in the North American union market, then I may approach the union and appeal to be full SAG. Will it happen? I don't know. I'll probably have to pay some kind of a penalty. I heard that I had to go in front of a review board, X, Y, and Z things, but it may make sense for me in the far future to do that if my business goes in that direction, which I haven't made a decision yet because I kind of like where I am. Um, but we'll see. Things may change. Certainly, the trends and the industry itself will change and evolve over time, as we've seen. And I'm gonna pivot along with it the way that it's most beneficial for my business.
What's your opinion on like Fiverr and Upwork?
I used to be on Fiverr years ago, starting out. Everybody has to start somewhere, and googling voiceover, doing my research, Fiverr came up, of course. So I signed up and did jobs. Mm. And until 2 years ago, year and a half ago, up until that point, I used to recommend Fiverr to people. It's a wonderful place to get your feet wet, to start a business, to get hired for things, which is so important, especially for businesses that are starting out early, voice actors that are starting out, to experience the processes of getting hired, of getting cast. Um, all the training and demos and networking and marketing you do, it's all pointless if you don't book, right? So I firmly believe it's very important for everyone to experience these wins, these jobs, these bookings, these castings periodically, every day, hopefully. But we live in the real world, right? For them to experience this, so that it motivates them to push forward. Same thing for me. At least that's how I felt. And I was booking on Fiverr. It was lovely. It was awesome. Started to recommend it to people, and then they came out with this one commercial. Tell me if you've seen it or not. Where they hired union talent on screen actors. Okay, Eric knows. Good. Where the message of the commercial was, if you want affordable professional voiceovers, come to Fiverr, and not these artistes, these fluffy, philosophical, overcharging artistes of the world. I don't know about you, but I was not willing to sit in my own chair with the craft that I honed and trained for, worked hard for, to be treated as some fluffy, overcharging boutique shop. And that pushback came from talent, and instead of like justifying their choices or apologies, not that we expected apologies, but they doubled down on it. So that they made their position very clear. So I stopped recommending Fiverr to people. Um, but from the get go, the recommendation, the positive aspect of Fiverr was always it was a fantastic place to get your feet wet. But once you're able to swim, get the heck out of there, right? Um, that advice still stands true today. Um, the voice actors who are in this seriously as a career, as a long term, decades on end business building choices, one aspect of this business is gonna have to be agencies. It's gonna have to be agents, because sure as heck, Coca-Cola is not coming to Casting Call Club to hire their next commercial narrator. They're just not, right? Sony Entertainment, Naughty Dog are not coming to Twitter to hold an open casting call. No way. They're going to the trusted agencies that hold AAA talents on their books that they've carefully collected and admitted and rostered into their system. Why would they go anywhere else? They have marketing departments that are dedicated to selecting the right talent, right? So agency relationship is going to be a necessity for anyone who is interested in going long term with voiceover in all genres, commercial to narration to characters. And when an actor pitches himself to a talent agency, and if that actor's material is so good that it piques the interest of Dean Panaro, Dean's gonna look into you, right? Click on your links and Google your name, da 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 da, and look into you. And should your brand and name results in a Fiverr listing, he's not gonna sign you. I don't know Dean. That's just a random name, but that agent is not gonna sign you. Not because they vilify Fiverr, but to protect their own reputation. But to protect their own reputation, because let's say, Jesse, that you are on Fiverr, you actively sell on Fiverr, and you book, and you're making a killing, which is awesome, and like you pitch to CESD here in LA with Sam, and he likes you, you hit it off, and you sign this contract. Huzzah, right? And you receive auditions, and you're auditioning, da 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 da, and you book this narration, let's say, I don't know, or this little character, whatever it is, from this reputable company who has the budget and the time to hire talents, CESD talents. So you do an amazing job, as you do, of course, right? You show up to session on time, you're kind, you're fun to play with, all these things. And then someone in finance is processing the payment for it and recognizes your name. Oh, because they were on Fiverr looking for this bumper sticker. I don't know. So this person Googles Jesse Hofford Fiverr, and sure enough, there's your thing. And she writes to the producer, like, why did we go through the agency route and pay thousands of dollars to hire Jesse when we could have gone to Fiverr and hired him for $100 instead? And now your agent is in hot water because the agent didn't know that you were a Fiverr talent. Now their reputation has been ruined. That relationship with that studio has been burned because of you, right? Not just you, but you know what I'm saying, the talent. To protect their reputation as an agency, because they don't want to be known as the agency who signs people on Fiverr, you can't be on Fiverr. That's why.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the people who are on Fiverr making a killing, right? Making their money, making their living, good for them. They will never be able to sign with a bi-coastal agency, guaranteed. Reputation. Secondly, they can't leave. They can't leave. I'm sure a huge chunk of their renown and presence and budget and income is coming from Fiverr, so they can't leave, and their clients are not gonna leave with them. I'm sure of it. Why would they? The processes is already built in. you know, it's ingrained and habitualized. Of course, if you are a, a, a part-time side income voice talent who is not interested in forming a relationship with an agent, fine, fine, right? It's fine, right? If all I'm doing is spending 3 hours after work on saying words into a microphone, and that's all it's ever gonna be, fine, good for them, you know. It's perfect. That's their business plan, and they can do that perfectly fine. But for anyone whose business plan involving an agency or multiple agencies, you can't be on Fiverr. No way. We're different in that capacity. But then you ask the people who are on these platforms, what are your clients like? What is the process like? And I guarantee, at least from the stories I've heard, evidences I've seen, anecdotes I've listened to, right? The clients who frequent these platforms are often 99%, I would dare to say 99%, often looking for the bottom dollar. Like that's their product, that's their project, looking for the bottom dollar. Otherwise, why else would they be on Fiverr, right? The bottom dollar. And because it's bottom dollar, I'm also going to make an educated guess and say that people who are full time on Fiverr are doing a lot of work. 10,000 words for $200, whatever it is, right? They're doing a lot of volume to crank out to earn this amount of dollar per job or whatever. Nickel and diming of the usage and the cut files, all these things, sure. Good for them if that's their business model. Fine, you know. But we all have to make that decision for ourselves. If it makes sense, because you're a banker and you work in this finance capacity from 9 to 5, and you come home and eat your dinner and play with your kids, and you do voiceover from 8 to 11, in which you narrate these things and make a little side change, fine, right? The whiskey has to pay for itself somehow. I get it, you know, but he's saving up money for a family vacation. Good for him, absolutely. But it depends on the business model that you're operating under. Upwork is a little bit different than Fiverr in this way. Upwork doesn't carry the same villainous reputation that Fiverr does. And because such reasons, the clientele who hang out on Upwork is different. In the beginning, to circle back, in the beginning, I was on all of the platforms, all of them, to start my business. Fiverr to Freelancer to People Per Hour to Upwork, all of them. The only freelance platform that I'm still on is Upwork, and I'm represented full time. Upwork still very much is in alignment with my business plan because clients who value the value of a good voice talent in the Korean language, thank you very much, still frequent that site. I can't say, but for example, I'm serving this one client in a long-term form on this $6,000 contract on Upwork for voiceover narration in Korean. This Learn Korean program thing that we're working on. And Upwork has brought me clients with whom I still maintain relationships and work for a number of years now. Different than Fiverr, different than Freelancer, different than People Per Hour, all the other places. Um, I'm on the roster of Johnson and Johnson on Upwork. I don't see Johnson and Johnson on Fiverr. I didn't see anyway, or Bunny Studios or whatever. So uh, uh, Amy Smith in Australia put it the best. There's a lot of crap. There's a lot of sand. There's a lot of sand in these beaches. There's a lot of sand in these beaches, but every now and then there are these diamonds, you know? And on Upwork, there's more diamonds in the rough than other platforms. And when you do come across them, you slam down that hammer very hard and you win that contract, of course. There's still a lot of trash. There's a lot of trash, of course. Here, text to speech, AI training. Here's a YouTube channel narration. Our scripts are 4,000 words long, 10-minute narrations. Here's $15 for it. There's a lot of trash out there that are not serving my business currently. It used to years ago. I would definitely, yeah, I'd love to do it. Not today because I'm at a place in my business with the model, but there's more diamonds in the rough on Upwork, which is why I'm still on there for my Korean business. That 65% side of my business. And if and when I hope not, if and when Upwork gains the same reputation that's vilified in this manner, then I would have to leave as well. You can bet I'm going to be writing to all of my clients, leave with me. Let's take our business off the platform. But I will, because it's what's good for my business. What ultimately helped you move away from them? Gotcha. um, Obviously, everyone's journey will be different, right? Everybody's story and their history is going to be all different, of course. For me, um, after initially signing on with all of these freelance platforms, I had come to recognize and understand that Upwork might be the best in terms of client quality, project quality, and budget quality. So naturally, um, well, let me refine. Let me take it back. Um, in 2016 and 2017, I only had this many hours of VO window. Um, in from 17 to 18 school year, I used to be a teacher. From 17 to 18 school year, I was a full-time teacher, and I would come home, take care of the kids, and then do VO at night. So I only had this many hours of working on my business, and I would get jobs from Fiverr, from freelancer, from these places, in addition to the repeat work that I had to do hired by the companies and clients that I met on these platforms. And before long, or after some time, my 8 p.m. till 11 p.m. or whatever it was completely filled with jobs to do at whatever X amount of dollar per whatever it was. And I knew like that wasn't enough, obviously, and I want to grow my business. And in order to free up the time to market, to free up the time to audition, and to search for, and to connect and contact higher quality clients, better paying clients, higher quality products with their clients, right? No more shady Ukrainian MLM companies, right? Higher quality clients. I knew I had to let go of this much at the bottom end of the budgetary scale to free up that time so I can spend it and look for better clients. And sure enough, after time and all the effort and research and energy that I've expended, I found those clients and connected with them, signed those contracts, so that from X amount of dollar budget client to X amount of dollar budget client, I had made this much room, and I cleared that out, and the upper stack shifted down, and I filled the remaining gap with the higher paying clients. So my bottom dollar and my max dollar shifted up a little bit, if you will. And in this capacity, my scale of rate increased over time like this. And as that rate increased, the clients on the platforms that were no longer willing to work with me at those rates at the bottom end, we said goodbye professionally, cordially, of course. And over time, it became very clear that the clients on Fiverr, people per hour, and freelancer belonged in that group of bottom end clients. And over time, the upper ranges of my clientele became the people that the people with producers and casting directors and people that I had fostered a relationship, who were now working directly with me and not on these platforms, populated the upper end, and it grew. And I would ask for raises and renegotiate contracts because I was delivering quality product on time, and we knew each other as people, right? So I could ask these things, and they will go, yeah, we like you. We know that the stuff you're doing is really well. Let me talk to my manager. And sure enough, right? Um, and they went to bat for me because we had a relationship. Even to this day, lower range of my rate is still filled with like people from Upwork, clients from Upwork, a number of repeating recurring clients that come back that are still in that bracket, sure. But my range is filled with upper paying folks and lower paying clients of various qualities in between. And over time, it became clear that the other freelance platforms and the clients who frequented those sites were there. So I had to let them go. I had to let them go. I only have so many hours in a day. And naturally, over time, I left those platforms because I wasn't finding any clients that are willing to meet me at those rates. So there was no point in staying there anymore. And after some time left, some time went, I deleted those accounts, da 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 da, and Google filtered things out. So if you Google Yoon, Fiverr wouldn't be like the first however many pages. I don't even know if it pops up anymore. I mean, it's been years, so I guess it makes sense that the algorithms and the rep crawlers would make the dissociation, I guess. But yeah, the way to join the union is by getting hired onto a union production. You can't join it any other way. Uh, as an example, right? As an example, uh, what some on-camera talent will do is that they'll show up and become a background actor. Admittedly, a very low bar of entry because you're just existing in the background of this one movie in the cafe or whatever, right? As a background actor. You're still working on a union production. So if you get selected and cast into a background acting role, for example, uh, and you're chosen, so the paperwork has to be done, and you'll fill out the Taft-Hartley, and they'll process it, and you'll become SAG eligible. And from there, you decide if you want to be SAG or not. Sure. That's one way that people can get into the union with a low bar of entry for on camera talent. For voice, there is no background actor. You know what I mean? There's Walla, there's incidentals, sure. Even then, because it's a union production paying the rate that the union productions do, uh, there are a number of union talent who would be happy to take the NPC role, the incidental role. I would. I have. Um, and because they already have union talent ready and willing to work those small roles, there is no need to look for a non-union actor to fill that role and go through the Taft-Hartley process, whatever. unless Kosho, you can bring something that a union talent cannot provide. Like, you are the person that's best suited for the role that does not exist in the pool of union talent. For example, Korean speaking. Um, the condition, according to SAG, and this is in the paperwork. According to SAG, a union production may hire and look for and hire a non-union talent if they had looked for that actor in the union pool and couldn't find it. And they have no other options. They can say to the union, look, we looked around in the union pool and there is no one here that checks off all our check marks. So we now have to search outside the union to find the right person for this role. Then the union says, okay, fine, go ahead. We'll Taft-Hardy them. Which is the legal process, if you will. And they're looking for a Patel in this one show. And all of the union voice actors whose last name is Patel is either busy on other productions, or they're not available, or there's no one that matches your specs exactly. So this one union video game says we have to have Kosho. So you get signed on, and you fill out a Taft-Hardy, you become a SAG eligible person. That might be, I'm not saying it is, but might be a potential process that you may go through. Or you are a person that has 3 legs, and in this production they need a voice actor with the lived-in experience of 3 legs, and no one else exists that has 3 legs, unlike you. It's a very terrible example, and I apologize, but you see where I'm going. You bring something that other people don't, right? That it's one way to get in. Korean speaking language, whatever. And once you become a union talent, it does not guarantee work. It's a status. It's simply a status. You're online, you're offline. It's a status and a characterization, an element of your business, really. The majority of the operation still falls on your shoulder. Just because you're SAG doesn't mean the work starts rolling in. Not at all. In fact, the opposite is true. Because there's so much non-union jobs that are out there, non-union product and projects that you will not be eligible for because you're SAG. You'll be missing out on those opportunities. And if you've been here this whole time, we talked about FICOR or working off the card, which is a decision you'll have to make.
Right.
But strictly as a union-only talent, can you make full-time living? Yes, you can. There are a number of union talents who are making a full-time living only working on union jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But not a lot of them.
Right.
Not a lot. And statistically speaking, purely statistically speaking, because I don't know you and your story, right? Statistically speaking, it's not likely. Probably not 20, 30 years into the future, at least, in my opinion. Same here as well. I would love to just work on union projects the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But I don't live in a dream world. I live in the reality that is here today. Is it something to pursue? It is. The SAG, the union status comes with the idea that you're good enough to be on union productions. Otherwise, why would they have hired you, right? There's a perceived a set of standards or level of quality, whatever you want to call it, that comes with union membership. Sure. It's not always true, of course, but it's certainly a thing that you can say that elevates you over your peers, I guess. One example that comes to mind is the idea of broadcast quality home studio. Anybody can put broadcast quality home studio in their marketing materials. I make sure to specify that I have a Studio Bricks 1 Plus VO edition. I specifically mentioned that I have a U87 and a 416, an Apollo Twin, because I want the clients that I interface with to know that I have invested into these things, that I believe in my business enough to do so, and have had the workload and the history of booking to be able to have these things invested into my business. Do I have a broadcast quality studio? Yes, I do. And I'm sure a number of people do in their closets. But this is behind me here for a reason. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not trying to be an asshole. Look at all the things that I have. You know what I mean? I'm really trying not. But these are marketing materials and devices for marketing myself and building these relationships and getting my potential clients to take an interest in me. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So you said the only way is to join a union is to have a production look for you, like a non-union specifically, and that's the only way for voice actors.
For any jobs, whether that's on camera, on stage, or as a crew member, or as a voice actor, the only way to join the union is to do a union job. The question is, how do you get in there? Either you know someone who is looking for a Patel, or looking for this thing, this person, this ability, and they happen to know you, so that person connects the two of you. Da 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 da. It's about who we know. Or you apply and pitch yourself to an agency as a non-union talent, and you build a relationship, and you prove to the agency that you are indeed an amazing amazing voice actor, with the business built, with a home studio, da 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 da, everything they're looking for, and one day this union job comes to their inbox, and they go, we want to work with Kosho. We heard his demo, we checked him out, and we want to work with him. Or auditions go out from your agent, and you audition for it, and you book it, and they find out you're a non-union person. Oh, okay, well, we'll Taft-Harley him. So you get hired into a union production. One thing that won't happen is on Twitter or Discord or Fiverr. I'm pretty sure. We're a union production. We're looking for a narrator for our thing. On Twitter, not likely. Not likely. Does that answer it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's recorded, and it'll be on the CC's event page. A blanket fort like mine does not make a broadcast studio. Maybe. I say maybe because other people have. Really, seriously. Broadcast quality for everybody here is two components: isolation and treatment. Isolation of an interior space from the external sounds. Lawnmowers, airplanes, cars going by. Isolation, so that the outside sounds don't come in. To isolate, right? And isolation requires mass. For sound frequencies and the sound waves that are traveling through the air, the vibrations of the air molecule, the only thing that can stop it, the vibrations, is mass and density of a material, or layers of materials. This one behind me is an MDF layer of a inch thick, I believe, MDF, sandwiched by a length of cork, and then another wall of MDF. and other proprietary technology that I'm not privy to, that I don't know flat out. And because there's so much mass between my interior space and the external sounds, it effectively blocks out the external sounds and isolates the interior space. Isolation. And once a space has been successfully isolated, treatment to dampen the interior sound. I'm not going to be working outside the booth, right? I'm going to be in there, isolated. But if I'm locked inside a flat hard surface everywhere, it's still going to be echoey. It's physics, right? So the foam, bass traps, rock wool, all the things that are in there, this panel and this rock wool in a pillowcase, once I close the door, in combination with the rock wool that you see on the upper left, the foam that you see in the back wall, the bass trap in the ceiling, bass trap on the upper right, the bass traps that are underneath Totoro, and bass traps that are underneath the desk that you can't see, all work to dampen the interior of the isolated space. Treatment. And once you have effective isolation and effective treatment, and your noise floor is, I consider -60 to be the bare minimum noise floor for broadcast quality audio. You could say you have broadcast quality audio. So even in a blanket fort, I would say, if there are, as an example, everybody's different, right? As an example, say that you have 5 layers of the blanket on all sides. 5 layers. That's a lot of mass, right? For outside sounds to travel into. 10 layers, 3 layers, whatever it is. If you happen to live next to an elevated train in Chicago, you'll want more layers. But if you're in a quiet cul-de-sac in this suburban town in the middle of nowhere, maybe you don't need a lot of isolation. Maybe you have an air conditioning unit that's 3 feet away from your booth. You'll need more isolation. But maybe you're in the middle of the house, there's no vents, and it's pretty quiet neighborhood. Then you don't need as much isolation, right? And inside the space, you'll have, according to the level of projection, the energy you can produce to make the air molecules inside the space vibrate. The foam, the clothes, the parkas, the pillows, the couch cushions, rock wool panels, Oralex bass traps, all these things in place to dampen the vibrations of the air molecules, and it's well treated, then you have broadcast quality sound. Do you have to have a Studio Bricks? Not at all. Do you have to have an LA booth? Have to have Whisper Room? Not at all. As long as it's well isolated and well treated, then you're good. Sorry, that's me ranting. La, 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 la. Just flexing on the, I promise it's not. Yes, it's viewable through CC, correct. Totoro trap. It's my Totoro trap. Yeah. Booth animals, super helpful to have. Have someone to talk to. Absolutely. Put it on a thing and talk to it. It helps. It tremendously helps.
Nice. Nice.
How do you measure noise floor? In the space, set it up like you would, and you set the gain to a conversational level. So not too low, not too high, but a conversational level, whatever that means to you, right? When you hit record, the waveforms that appear on your DAW is at a good level, at a good conversational signal level. Then, deep breath in, and you hold. And do not move a muscle. Hold for 5 to 10 seconds. And exist in the space as well, right? And then go, and then hit record and stop recording. And in your DAW, select the silent moments when you're holding your breath. Select that 10-second and press play. And as you press play, your DAW will show you where that volume is, right? Where the meter is bouncing, or like this, or however it's oriented. And if that value says minus 60 or below, is where you want to be. In there with my U87, which is a large diaphragm microphone, which picks up more sound, arguably, I get about minus 78. With my 416, which is a shotgun microphone, which is much, much better at rejecting any sounds, I get about minus 87, 89. Some numbers to think about. I have a very needy cat. Aren't all cats needy? Love them. I love them. They're needy, so I love them. Absolutely. Santa Claus stocking. Good. It's anything. Put googly eyes on it. Absolutely. Booth animal of some kind to talk to. It helps tremendously. Yeah. Minecraft that my kids stole. When you do enough of work on your own, nobody gives you the jobs, right? Nobody. You have to go find them, and you have to search for it, and you audition for it. Da 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 da. Should you ever find yourself booking these things on your own, you know, whether it be character or narration or commercial or e-learning explainer, YouTube narration, whatever. If you are at a point where you're working hard to find these clients and to connect and build a professional relationship that causes them to come back for more, and there are a number of these clients on your clientele list that come back to you again and again and again because they like you and you do good work on time, on budget, over and over and over. And you start to pad a resume of clients and the project that you worked on over some time in this capacity. And you feel like you're at a place where you can reach for even better paying clients. I spoke about the range of rates that I have, right? No matter who they may be, it used to be anyway, but a lot of my clients who are on my clientele of lists that are outside of my agent relationship can't pay the rate that the clients who use an agent to hire voice actors, if you will. And I simply ran out of time. I had a number of hours in my 9 to 5, whatever work hours I decide for myself in my business. I'm full time. I ran out of time. So it was a matter of dropping the lower rate client or asking, I'm out of time and I'm going to raise my rates. Would you like to continue to work with me? And some have said, yes, we value you. We need you. And we love working with you. So let me talk to my manager. Let me talk to my boss. We'll bump up your rates. And I keep those clients, obviously, and I value the relationship. Even if we have to separate, it's still in good terms. Let me know if I can do anything, right? I'd love to refer people to you, X, Y, and Z. But made room at the bottom so that I can spend the time to polish and to build my case, my pitch, so that I can connect with agencies under whose door is these clients that I don't have access to currently without an agent, to progress my journey forward. And I approached the agencies that I pitched to with a specific angle and a purpose and a declaration, a mission statement, if you will. I came from a place of, hi, I'm Yoon, I'm a voice actor. I have a broadcast quality home studio. I have these clients under my belt in my clientele list. I am full time. I have a history of bookings. Here's my resume. Here's my list of client. Here's a list of my clientele and contact information. Um, I'd like to partner up with you so that I can gain access to your clients. Not that you'll give me jobs, but you'll give me access to your clients via auditions. And as you can clearly see, I'm running a business and I can book. Um, RSA got back to me and said we like it, we like you. So we shook hands and signed. And now I have access to their clients, and they can see that I can book, and I have, and the relationship continues on, and they only get 10% of what I make. What a deal! What a deal! you know. Um, so coming back to your question, how do you know if you had built a business, or if you know that you have something special that they don't currently, and it could pan out really well for them because they don't have you for whatever niche thing that they're missing. Reach out, right? Reach out. You can speak 5 languages fluently, natively. You're very useful. Reach out. Um, you have years of experience and clientele list that includes companies like Microsoft and Ford and P&G. Reach out because you can clearly book. Um, like it has to be that. Again, we're in a B2B relationship, B2B market, and for business to business to form an agreement in partnership, a sense of value has to be presented from both parties that mutually benefits each other, right? And if you feel, or if you know that you're bringing with you a certain type and amount of value to a relationship to be formed, then you're in a good place to pitch that, which will certainly make you stand out over the ocean of a chorus of actors who are begging on their knees. I promise to work hard. It doesn't mean anything to the agencies. It's a business relationship, a business partnership. If you're not bringing the value that they recognize as valuable, then why should they sign you? So, how do you know if you're ready to pitch to an agency? Are you aware of the value that you bring to that agency? That's the question. That makes sense? Break out of the employee mindset. Oh yeah, that's how we're taught, right? From early school years to college and to the part-time jobs that we work. That's how we're taught. And to be an entrepreneur is truly a mindset shift. I agree. Jason, how can I help?
I have a question about like you if you dislike any part of the process, because where I'm at right now, I find that like I don't enjoy editing. Um, and I don't know how sustainable that is in the long run. So I was wondering if at any point, like, did you dislike any part of this entire business?
Yep. Translating. Oh, fucking translating. Especially because the English language is so drastically different than the Korean language, particularly. Um, One thing in Spanish, Italian, French, and English, it's different. It's all based in Latin, right? Translating, oh God, hate it. To this day, hate it. So when a client approaches me today with a job, we want a Korean version of this. Uh, I have spent time and money and energy to look for and form relationships with professional translators that I pay to have it be translated. I'm upfront and transparent with all my clients. Thank you very much. I work with a team of professional translators that I've worked with over a number of years that I trust personally, would it be okay? Da, 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 da. It's never a no. Of course not. They don't care, right? But I trust these people to translate it for me. And then when the translated text comes to me, I proofread it for a quality check, of course, and then record it, which is the fun part. So, one way, if editing is your uh, hire someone, a colleague, a friend, according to whatever budget you can provide, to edit for you. Which, if you think about it, which saves you time to audition for more things, to market more for more things, to grow your business in more ways than spending that next 2 hours editing this thing. Consider it. Maybe you have an audio engineering friend, or you connect with a friend who is interested in editing things, and you develop a mutual thing. Um, work it out and stuff. A really great example is this. So I stream on Twitch, right? And like it was at a time where there were a lot of things were happening. I didn't have time to sit down with the videos that I had made from the Twitch stream and edit it out. So I looked for and hired this video editor, Alex. And Alex is a great video editor. Love the guy to bits and pieces. And he would go to my Twitch, download the video, and edit it to my specifications, which in time would save me hours and hours and hours to do other things to grow my business. And he would work as my video editor. He wasn't considering himself as a video editor then. He is now working as a video editor for other Twitch streamers, because I was able to see the quality in his work, and I knew my colleagues in the streaming community. So I said, "Hey, here, this guy. Da, 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 da. He doesn't work for me anymore. He's got enough clients that he had earned through my connections, thank goodness, and through his own efforts too, of course. But he is a talented editor who loves to do it. If you can find somebody like that, that would be one way to do it. Hire someone to do it for you, or build in other methods of working. For example, audiobooks. A lot of folks are audiobook narrators, right? And we're talking about hours and hours and hours of content. It's impossible to sit in a recording setting and flub, and so you have to restart that sentence or whatever it is and record an hour worth of audio, and to have to go back to edit and delete the mistakes or whatever. It's painful. I know, I've been there. It's painful. So you Google and you research how to punch and roll. Please tell me you know this. Punch and roll. And you effectively develop your workflow for this punch and roll method and ability, this realistic, legitimate term. It's not, I'm not making it up, I promise. Punch and roll. So that by the time you end with the script after 2.5 hours of recording, you know it's all good and it doesn't need to be edited. You purchase the Isotope RX10 declicker, and you let the algorithm run through and get rid of mouth clicks instead of going back to take care of each and every one. For my case, for various e-learning things, the clients want split files and name it with these audio file names, please. It comes with a thing. So as I record and edit and punch and roll, I place markers in the audio with the file names, so that at the end of a 3-hour session for recording this e-learning module thing, and I placed markers throughout in my process, at the end, all I have to do is split by markers, and it spits out individual files appropriately named, and send. I don't have to edit.
Sounds really nice.
Like build in these processes, find and build in these processes to make the process of editing more efficient for you would be another way to do it. I translate Japanese to English. It's a nightmare. Oh gosh, I hate it so much. So much. Yeah, punch and roll, exactly. Thank you, thank you. Yes, indeed. Look at these people chiming in. Yeah, it's a literal lifesaver in the long form narration. Absolutely. I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. I won't do audiobooks unless it pays me well. Oh my god, no way. I gave up. But there are audiobook narrators who are full time who love it. Who love it. Love it. And all they do is audiobooks. Good for them. Good for them. They found their happiness. Good for them. I know voice actors around the country who narrate series of novels, and they love it. I'll never understand. I'm sure you are, Jesse, as well. We'll never understand. But for them, this series of novels is 7 volumes and each one is 300,000 pages. Good for them. Yeah. Hold on. There you go. Yeah, see? He's one of those people. Good for you. Never do it. Okay. We're 2 hours in, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting. But should you have more questions that you think of later, I should have asked June. Please reach out on Twitter, on Discord, email. You'll find me. Google. You'll find me, right? Please reach out and ask. Just as these audiobook narrators love to narrate these long form content, which I'll never understand. I find my joy in education and awareness and helping and guiding and mentoring in this capacity, which is why I'm here right now, right? I find a heavy amount of joy and happiness in being able to help others and support and elevate and lift others like this. Anybody here? I'm looking at you, even though your camera's off. I'm looking at you. Should you win that Emmy, that Oscar, that VO whatever award one day, I want my name in that speech. You hear me?
Happily.
It's my happiness, right? And who is anyone going to be telling me about my happiness, right? I love to help. So please, I beg you, should you have any questions from now on until the end of time about voiceover, about acting, about any of this, please feel free and don't hesitate. I promise you're not bothering me. Please reach out and ask so that I can help. It's literally my pleasure. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. And good luck in the booth and break legs, all of that. And I'll see you sometime around here, I'm sure.